This is an intimate crowd, which I like because I don't have to yell or scream or anything like that to get my voice across. I have a pretty wild and crazy story for you, and I guarantee you that every word that I'm going to tell you is true. I haven't added anything for dramatic effect. It's just some of us have had more, exciting lives or eventful lives than others. And I've tried to have a good attitude about it, and I'll try to share some of that with you tonight. Before I get to the serious part, or the fun part, looking at a serious thing. What I want to talk about is a young man. His name is Owen. He's 7 years old. He's the son of a good friend of mine. I got an email yesterday that let me know that Owen was unexpectedly hospitalized recently, and my friend Mike, his wife Tracy, and Owen are going through a little tough time right now. So before I get going with my stuff, if I could ask you to do one thing when you go home tonight, that is, however you connect with your higher power. If you want to send up a prayer, if you want to send positive thoughts or good vibrations, I would truly appreciate that because the family can use it right now. And I thank you. As far as my stuff goes, which my notes disappeared.
I'm sorry.
I am Charles Cook, as you heard. I'm the keep banging guy. Says so right here on my shirt. That's how I keep up with who I am and what I'm doing for today. And what I want to start off with is letting you guys know what keep banging means. Keep banging is my philosophy on life. It is also my motto, and it's also the only thing that's ever worked to get me through some of the stuff that I've had to go through. On the surface, keep banging means just what it sounds like. Life puts obstacles in front of all of us in our paths, and it's our job to keep banging at the one directly in front of us until we knock it down. Then we move on to the next one. And I've always found that it's always going to be the next one. A little bit deeper, keep banging means that you never give up, no matter how bad the odds are. And I've faced some very long odds in my life, and I'm still here to talk about it, which is why I'm here to talk about it. The other part of keep banging, which I'm trying to get people to understand now, is a matter of perspective, and Ed and I were talking about it earlier, is we get caught up sometimes in our own problems and we can't see any further than this. It's very funny to me that the phrase is misery loves company, because sometimes when things are going bad for you, you feel like you're the only one in the world that's having bad stuff happen to you. I can assure you that is not the case. My dad taught me at a very young age, my brother and I, that no matter how bad you think you have it, there's always someone that has it worse off. You may not know them, but having that knowledge helps you to not get down about what's going on with you. Because if somebody else is having it worse, then what do you really have to complain about? And that's the way I've looked at all the stuff that has happened to me. And so I don't get down about it. Sometimes I get angry, I'm not going to lie, because I think being sick and having to go through all the stuff for rehab is a colossal waste of time. I could be doing much more productive things. But hey, this is the hand that I've been dealt, and now it's my turn to play out the game. So that's what I'm here to talk about tonight. The last part of keep banging is that each day is a gift. And I would like for you to take away tonight how truly precious that gift is, that you get up and you draw breath in the morning. Because there are a lot of good people that did not wake up today through no fault of their own, and they will never get a chance to try to make today better than yesterday was. I feel that if I'm given that gift, it is my duty and responsibility in their honor to make the best of each day that I'm given that I can. And if you can take that attitude away, then that would be a win for me. I truly appreciate it. All right. So we've talked about Owen. I've told you what keep banging is about. Now let me say thank you to Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones, thank you for getting up here. 3 things that I learned: that you are very professional, very well informed, and I'm quite sure that you are a very respected member in your chosen field. I can assure all of you that I'm absolutely none of those things. I want you guys to have fun, and we're going to try to have a little fun on a very serious subject. But the one thing that has helped me get through the stuff that I'm about to talk about is a sense of humor. You got to try to find the funny where you can. So we're gonna go with that. Feel free to laugh, and it's okay. All right. Let's see. That is enough, or that is my preamble. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with good stuff. I have come up with I think, unique and unorthodox method of keeping my place in the story. We'll see if you guys can pick up on it as we go along. I have my notes that I'll be referring to quite often, but then I have another, maybe more subtle way of doing it. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is a little bit of my background. You can tell from my accent that I'm not from around here, as we would say back home. I'm actually standing on this side about 1,000 miles away from where I grew up. And if you're any good with geography, then you know that 1,000 miles due south of here, you are smack dab in the United States of America. So I am American. How American am I? Well, let's see. You guys see that over there? See what? I'm going to do something that only a true American would do. Here we go. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Play ball. I always thought those were the last two words growing up as a kid. And so my brother and I, we grew up in Atlanta. So Atlanta, if you know the baseball team, is the Braves. So the home of the Braves, my brother always thought it was home of the Braves. So, but we were a little bit off, but we got all right. Excuse me. So I am American, and you know that now. And now you know that I am not afraid to make a fool of myself in order to make a point. So back home in the United States of America, I happen to grow up in the best part of America, as I think, which is the southern United States, the southeastern United States, as a matter of fact. And I was born in what I think to be the best part of the southeastern United States, which is...
How many layers you got?
We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out. If I start asking for money and turn down the lights, but I was born in the great state of Georgia, the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. That's it. That's home for me. So we're going to stick in Georgia for a little bit because a lot of stuff happened there. I was born and raised in Georgia. Grew up 60 miles east of Atlanta in a city called Stone Mountain. And at 17 years old, I graduated from Stone Mountain High School. And I went, at that time, I received the highest honor that I'd ever achieved in my life, my young life. I received an appointment to the United States Naval Academy. The Go Navy Beat Army, that United States Naval Academy. Hardest school in the country to get into that year. Over 97% turnaround rate, or 92% turnaround rate. They only accepted 7 point whatever percent people getting in. So I was literally one of America's best and brightest. And went there. You start off in July, and you go through what's called plebe summer, which is the hard physical part where they try to weed out the weak, and then whoever's left, they try to weed out the strong. I made it through that without a problem. And then at the end of the summer, just like every university in America in the fall, is when the brigade comes back, is what we call it, which is the upperclassmen coming back after their summer break to start the academic year. We went out on a run that first Saturday that everybody was back, and I started getting chest pains. I found out years later that those chest pains should have been the last thing that I ever felt, because at the time when they found the condition that I had, they usually did it when they were doing the autopsy. So the doctors told me that I was lucky, in one way, that I didn't die, because what I had was a condition called HCM, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. That's a long way of saying that my heart muscle on my ventricle got too thick. It was heading towards being so thick that it could no longer contract. Once it couldn't contract, then no blood flow was going and I was going to die. So the bad thing is there's no way to fix it and it never gets any better. Now, when you're 17, I found out when I was 17, I got my actual separation from the academy. When I was 18, I turned 18 over Christmas leave that year, and I came home in January back to Georgia. And very, very critical point in my life. At 17, at the academy, I had the world on a string. I had the tiger by the tail. I went in 1986, which was the year that Top Gun came out, if you guys remember that. So that was the year that every red-blooded American boy wanted to join the Navy and fly jets just like Tom Cruise. And I was heading towards that. And then one day I wasn't. I had to, basically the way the deal would have worked was I would have been at the academy for 4 years, would have gotten my degree, come out as a commissioned officer, and I would have owed the Navy 5 years. And I would have flown jets and probably would have stayed in and then re-upped and made it a career. At that point, 20 years, I would have been 38 years old, with full pension. And then I could have started my next career, but things didn't work out that way. And that was a very hard lesson, but a very valuable lesson for me at that age, because at 18, I had no worldly skills, no worldly knowledge. So I went back home, had only been out from under my mom and dad's roof for 6 months, and now I'm back, not happy about that. And I was home moping around, feeling sorry for myself. My dad came home from work a couple of days after I had gotten back home. And, my dad was a big fan of tough love. And so he looked at me and he goes, "You got a job yet?" I'm like, "Dad, come on." I just had the whole world pulled out from under me. He's like, "Look, you're 18 years old. You have the whole rest of your life to live, and sitting around moping is not going to do anything for you. You need to figure out what you want to do. You need to get up off your butt. You need to go out and do it." And so my plan was to go back to school to get a degree in computer science and then, go on and take on the world with my next phase of my life. So for that, I had to relocate out of Georgia. I went down to the Sunshine State of Florida. All right. I was down in Daytona Beach. I arrived on January 5th, 1988. I enrolled in school, a school called Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and I was taking computer science with aviation applications. I wound up, we'll skip, kind of fast forward through this part. Went down in January, started off computer science, and then in 1996, wound up going back to Georgia. This time, I had my degree, completely different major in hotel restaurant management. I had a wife and a big-eyed, bald-headed, 5-week-old son, a new career, and had just relocated back to Georgia. I went to work for a company called Longhorn Steakhouse Incorporated. My passion, I found out, was the restaurant business, which, in a weird kind of way, it was kind of the stuff that I'm doing now, which is helping somebody feel better about their day. In a restaurant, you think if you're hungry, you come in, we give you something to eat. We give you a nice place to sit. We treat you real nice while you're here. If you're thirsty, we give you something to drink, And it's just the little stuff. And that's what I've learned to appreciate about all the stuff that I've been through now, is that, it's the little things that count. Don't sweat the small stuff, but don't forget to celebrate the small stuff either. So I'm back in Georgia now, working for the restaurant company. I started off as an operations manager and was in line to take over store as general manager. And that's the big guy within the unit. My goal was to move up to multi-unit, and I saw an opportunity. They asked for not volunteer, but they asked people to submit resumes for a recruiter position, which was to go out and hire managers and come and run the restaurants. I had no clue if I could do that or not, but everybody knew that I was really good at running a restaurant because I've been doing it for a long time. So put my name in the ring and wound up more surprised than anybody when they called it and said, "Hey, you're the guy that we want." So I did that for 3 years, and then on September 11th, the company hired somebody that had been running their own recruiting agency, and so they couldn't bring him in as a recruiter, so they wanted to give him a higher title, which was regional employment manager. So we all got promoted on that day. So it was a really bad day for the world, but a good day for us. So it's an easy date to remember. But as a regional employment manager, what they did was instead of just pulling people in through the front door saying, we're a great company, come to work for us, burn them out, and then go and hire somebody else, we actually started being strategic about the people that we hired on the front end, making sure they were a good fit for us, and then putting them in a proper training position, and then figuring out where they're going to go afterwards so they can go to a team where their skills complement the team that's already there. We wound up cutting turnover in half, which was great. And then my favorite part was we got to start promoting from within. So the people that I bring in the front door, I tell you, if you work hard and do what you're supposed to do, then you're going to get an opportunity to move up in the company, just like I had. And so I was selling something that I really believed in. And things were going absolutely great. I was in charge of the Atlanta region, which were 40 restaurants all over metro Atlanta. And we went from Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is only 5 miles on the Tennessee side of the border, all the way down to Valdosta, which is 16 miles above the Florida border. And, handled those restaurants. I was in a different one every day. Lots of people knew me because I'd come up through the ranks and I could say, hey, I'm living proof that if you do what you're supposed to do, then good things can happen. And good things were happening. Kids were growing. I had 2 kids by that time. And my wife at the time was from Ontario. So that is how we wound up here. When I went home one day, she said, we've been here long enough. I really miss home, and I want to go back. So I said, things are great, but you spent time here for me, then I'm willing to do that for you. Then that was the big plan. We were supposed to move to Canada in the summer of 2005. Everything was laid out for that. And then it's very funny because March 9th is a very significant date for me. For one, it's my mother's birthday, or it was my mother's birthday. It is also the day that I had a massive stroke on the way home from work, March 9th, 2005. So the spring of the year that we were supposed to move, I was driving home from work on the highway in 5 o'clock traffic. State troopers report said it was 4:52 p.m. and had a massive stroke out of nowhere. Since I left the academy, I had no issues with my heart whatsoever. It's kind of back then when I left, I'm 18. They say this is dangerous. I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof. I just came from the Naval Academy. That's going to get me. And it didn't, for 18 years. And then all of a sudden, bam. And, live to tell about it. One of those things. And tell about it I shall. So we were postponed for a year. And so we wound up moving in the summer of 2006. In June, we immigrated to Canada. And then we wound up landing in good old Cape. And I learned a new anthem. Feel free to sing along, because I sing it loud and proud now. So, oh Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. That was excellent, guys. I hope your heart's beating a little bit faster. You feel that little tingle on your skin. Well, I get the last laugh because that's what it feels like to be an American all the time. All right? But thank you for getting that joke. I appreciate it. But Canada, I get choked up because there are a lot of days that a lot of people thought that I would not see tomorrow. And this, to tell you the truth, is just too far away from home for me to be buried. And, I'm about to get into the craziest part of my story now. Moved to Canada in 2006 and was seen immediately by a cardiologist at St. Mary's Hospital in Kitchener. His name is Dr. Rennie. Dr. Rennie is an excellent cardiologist, and the thing I liked about him most was that he was just straight up with me from the first time I went into his office. He said, look, your HCM It doesn't get any better. There's no cure for it. So there's only 3 outcomes that you can expect. First and foremost, you can either get an artificial heart. Number 2, you can get a heart transplant, or 3, you can die. And in my career, I've done all 3, and I'm still here to tell you that. So here in 2006, went into heart failure in 2009 because my heart was starting to wear out. In 2010, I started going down to Toronto General because they're the people that do the artificial hearts, and they also do the heart transplants. So I was seen by Dr. Heather Ross and her heart function team from that point forward. We have been through a whole lot together, and there's some really, really good people down there. And they have literally saved my life on numerous occasions. When I started going to see them, then it was kind of like, your heart is bad, and we know how this is going to end up, but we want to monitor you closely so we have a history once you show up or you get to that point, that it's not just you showing up on your deathbed saying, hey, I need a heart, and they don't know me from Adam. So I was monitored very closely, and things stabilized, actually, because when I had my first visit, it was actually terrible. And then that was in 2010, and then all the way up until 2015, you know, it kind of hung in there, and we were just waiting for the other shoe to drop. In January of 2015 was when that shoe dropped, and it dropped hard. I went in for a checkup on January 14th, just a regular checkup, and they decided that they weren't going to let me go home, because my heart had worn out that much. The question for the following week was if they could get me well enough to send me home to wait for a heart transplant, because that was the only thing that was going to save me, or if I wasn't going to be strong enough to go home and wait, then were they going to give me a helper? And they decided that my heart needed a helper, which was a mechanical heart called an LVAD, a left ventricular assist device. If you've ever heard of that before, it's probably from the Kidney Kickoff storyline, if you're a big fan of Grey's Anatomy, one of the first couple of seasons. On that show, the LVAD was something that was outside the body. It acted as the heart, as a pumping chamber. Now they put them inside of us, and they're good for about 5 years. So it bought me time, you know, to get on the list and to wait for a heart transplant. That was the plan. So on January 22nd, I had my first mechanical heart surgery. And I say first because there was a second one immediately afterwards. The first surgery did not go well at all. As far as not going well, what I mean is I actually died twice on the table while they had my chest open. And my surgeon literally and physically had to reach inside my chest and grab my heart and massage it with his hands until it started beating on its own again. When they closed me up at the end of the surgery, they couldn't stop the bleeding. I was in surgery or OR for hours after they were done, because as soon as they put blood in me, it came out the other side. I wound up getting an infection from all of that, the transfusions, and I wound up spending 100 days in the hospital that time, fighting off infection after infection. So I spent almost 7 weeks in ICU, and that's the time when I'm talking about the people thought that I was not going to make it from day to day. I don't remember any of that stuff, which I'm glad and thankful for. It's the brain's way of protecting itself. But I got out and went home, and I was home for exactly 3 weeks, 21 days. I got out on a Friday. 3 Fridays later, phone rings. Hey, Charles, we think there's something wrong with your pump. We need you to come in and get it checked out. And I'm saying, I feel fine, you know, because I was on death's doorstep for a long time. So, of course, I feel better than I did when I was in the hospital. And fortunately, the doctors did not listen to me. They said, get your blood in here. And sure enough, when they, the bad problem was they couldn't tell what was really wrong with it without taking it out. And if they took it out, then they had to replace it, or else I was going to die. So we had the surgery. They took out the first LVAD, and the surgeon in the OR opened it up and looked at it, and he took a picture for me. And it was a huge clot of red blood cells that had been broken down, and it was going to gum up the machine. If it had done it while I was at home, I was dead. You know, it would have stopped, and that was my lifeline. So went through with the second surgery. Everything really went through with flying colors this time. I had been in the hospital 100 days the first time, 36 days after the second surgery. And while I was in there, I started a blog because I had the time and I had, the ability. And basically what it was at first was to inform my friends and family back home in Georgia about what was going on with me up here in Kansas so they could keep track of my progress. It turned into something where the nurses said that not only is that a good idea for your friends and family, but there's some patients that probably would get something out of this too, because it's from a patient's point of view, and we don't really have anything like that. And so, I kept it up all the way till today. I made a post earlier this afternoon before I came in here, and I've gotten very positive feedback about it. And I took 1 year's worth of blog posts and turned it into a book. And then I started, sold a bunch of those, and then I said, how can I really make an impact with this thing and help the people that need it the most, which are the patients in the bed. And so with this ABFAB program is what I call it, a book for a book. Basically, every time that somebody purchases a book, then I will donate a book to a patient. And it's gone well. I will be delivering 30 books tomorrow when I go down to Toronto General. That will make 57, I think, altogether. And I'm shooting for 100, for the program. So we'll see how that goes, but things are going well. So I go home after the second mechanical heart surgery, and they tell me that was in May that I went home. In August, they actually put me back on the transplant list. They figured I was stable enough and my body was getting strong enough that by the time I actually got a heart, then I would be able to withstand the surgery and everything. We did. They said to expect to wait 2 to 3 years, and that was what my beautiful partner, Monica, and I were planning on. And we were sitting there, we were going, 2 to 3 years, we got plenty of time. Let's kind of just catch our breath from all the stuff that's gone on so far. And as often happens, things did not work out as planned. We were going to have our bags packed. We were going to have, extra keys made, directories for everybody, directions of what to do and this, that, and the other thing. And it never works out that way. 9 months into the thing, it was a Saturday morning. I had just gotten done making the bed, and the phone rang. And so I answered it, and the lady said, "This is Christine from the transplant unit." I said, "Okay, it's weird that she'd be calling." And then I'm kind of like, "What do you want?" And she said, "Well, we think we have a heart that might work for you, and you need to get down here, as quickly as possible." And I literally sat down because, that didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, there's no way they found a heart for me in 9 months when they told me it was only 2 to 3 years. And so I asked her, I said, "Are you telling me the truth? Is this call legit?" She said, "I assure you, Mr. Cook, that it is. And we do need you to get down here as quickly and safely as possible." And so I was like, okay. And I'm kind of cool, on the phone. As soon as I hang it up, oh my God, this call is that I got a heart. So what am I going to do now? So literally completely unprepared, have nothing packed. And I told Monica if we'd had a nanny cam, then we could have made $1 million, because I just grabbed one of those reusable grocery bags and just ran back and forth, between 2 rooms. I grabbed some underwear and socks and threw them in a bag. And then my best friend had given me a little journal for my birthday 1 year, and I told him I was going to keep it so that when I was in the hospital,